Man, look at the way the guy walks up on her. Man, look at the way he walked up to her, man. This right off the break. I can stop the video right there. Because when you walk up on somebody like that, does that look like you coming here to discuss the weather? Maybe you came up to give him a kiss. Nah, he walked up on her aggressive, like he wanted some action. But he gets surprised because she has protection with her. All right, so just peep out the stride and the aggressive nature that he's approaching this woman. Now, you tell me, if that would have been a grown-ass man, about 6 feet tall, with a little build on him, standing over there, you think he would have walked up that quick? Like he gonna do something? Check it out. Check this out. She has a gun in her hand, and she steps back. He sees the gun and he stops. Then he approaches anyway, because he senses she's not going to do anything to him. I mean, it's so clear, fam. The media wants you to feel bad for a man who walked up on an armed woman who was obviously, plainly holding a gun. He's aggressive towards her. They want you to feel bad for him. They want you to feel bad for him getting what he came for. Obviously, the man is either off his medication, high, drunk, or he wants to leave this earthly realm and go to the next phase. Now, I don't know what they're discussing, but I don't think she's saying to him, would you like to come over for tea, mate? I don't think that's what's going on. And I don't think he's saying to her, oh, what lovely eyes you have, right? But I do think she's saying you need to keep your distance because remember, her car is parked next to where he is standing. She removed herself around that other vehicle. That's a sedan. She walks around that sedan to avoid having to shoot this man. But he wants to be shot. He's begging to be shot right now. This is a man begging to be shot. She's still walking away from him. He is away from his own vehicle, next to her vehicle. He walked over there on his own volition for a reason. You in Florida, in a state where people can have guns, it's a stand your ground state. What's she supposed to think is going to happen? And instead of messing around and FAFOing for herself, she says he going to be the one to FAFO. That's all this is this woman is deciding that she's not going to be a victim. That's all that happened here. And you know what? Every person on this God's green earth gets to make a decision. If they're fortunate enough, sometimes we don't get to make a decision. This woman had an opportunity. She had time to make a decision that if it's going to be me or him, it's going to be him. And can't nobody take that away from you. He's running his mouth near her vehicle and still harassing her. Look, he then backed her up again, all the way back to where? Back to her car. She's standing next to her car. Here he comes again. Here he comes again. Now he's walking off. She's by her vehicle. That's her vehicle. And here he comes again. And she is... There it is. There it is. Now, we done blurred it out because we don't want to be too graphic on the show. But obviously, he got what he came for. Now, before I show you what report went out on the airwaves on ABC, let me just break a couple things down to you, right? I do not care what the media is telling you about this story. This is not about a fight over a parking space. This is a fight over sanity. This is a disagreement about who wants to be on Earth and who doesn't want to be on Earth. It's the story of a man who looked at a person with a loaded gun and said, what the hell, let me give it a shot. That's what this was. A man so arrogant that he can have a gun fixed on him. And he'd be like, well, I guess bullets can bounce off me today. That's what this is. Because any person that's not full-blown arrogant or crazy sees a person pointing a gun at him has to consider maybe she'll use it. Maybe it's not a decoration. It's not an appendage, it's a weapon, and it's pointed at you. And the person's saying, stay your ass over there. And instead of listening to that, you approach them. That's what this story is really about. So anything else you heard is nonsense. I mean, at the end of the day, who tracks an armed person around a vehicle? Cops don't do that. No one does that. No one follows armed people around. Maybe the Terminator. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Wolverine, walks someone around, an armed person around a vehicle. But they have, like Wolverine had healing capability. Mr. DeGuglielmo does not have healing capability. But DeGuglielmo is a human being, and he is deceased.
This morning, the ongoing investigation into a deadly confrontation in Florida, a parking space dispute turning deadly outside a Walmart. 62-year-old Bart DeGuglielmo shot and killed.
Female shot someone outside in the parking lot. Both out there were fighting over a parking spot.
Authorities say the altercation started about 5 minutes earlier, with the two drivers fighting over a parking spot. DeGuglielmo then parked his car, partially blocking the spot, and walked into the store. Witnesses say the woman then managed to slip into the spot anyway. The woman is then seen getting out of her car, phone in one hand, gun in the other, yelling at DeGuglielmo, who appears to be yelling back. He's then seen walking toward her as she points the gun at him. She backs up several times, gun leveled. She retreats around a car. He follows. An eyewitness says the woman repeatedly warned him she'll shoot if he keeps coming at her. He appears to leave, but then quickly returns. And then she opens fire, shooting DeGuglielmo. Police then take the woman into custody. Officials say she claims she was acting in self-defense.
Now that woman is no longer in custody and the shooting is under current investigation. Prosecutors will have to decide what charges, if any at all, are warranted. Really, guys, it's just a question of, is this self-defense or not?
Oh, I feel good about this one. What I mean by that is, finally, people with sane minds, reasonable people can agree on something. Yeah, we may not agree on much, but we can agree on this. We can agree that if someone has a gun in their hand and they're telling you to back off, that it's probably a good idea for you to back off. And that if you want to pose a threat to someone, that maybe that will be met with force that you're not ready for. Okay, so I like this story. In fact, I'm seeing some people that I would normally disagree with be on the same page as I when it comes to this. And that's a good thing to see. Look, I got no problems with that. My thing is this, though. There are a few people, man, that got a hangover from the Austin Metcalf story. And they just kind of like, they gotta deny self-defense, but they just cannot let themselves be brought to accepting that this sister did the right thing. Or what she did, not the right thing. It's not about right or wrong. That what she did was not illegal. That it was not against the law. They're not gonna charge her with anything. At least they haven't charged her with anything up to this point. So that sounds like the gun was legal. It looks like self-defense so far. And they haven't found any reason to not make it be self-defense. That's what that looks like to me. The smartphone footage doesn't lie, right? This woman is trapped in the parking lot with a man who has an attitude, a temper, and he is aggressive towards her, and he will not back off for whatever reason. Now, I don't know what's going on. Maybe he owes back child support. Maybe his taxes is taking a bite out his ass. Maybe he got a diagnosis that has him in a mental state. All these things could be happening, but that's not her fault. Nor should she have to try to medicate him or provide him therapy. She under no obligation at all to try to figure out why this man is tripping. But she does have some medicine for him. And that medicine has several shots. She shot this man one time, and unfortunately his invisible body armor did not work. Yeah, that button that he was attached to his chin or here in his cheek, when he tapped it, it did not make his invisible armor appear and deflect the bullets. Because that's the only thing I could come up with. Because if someone's pointing a gun at me, not only am I not going to approach them, I'm going to go the other way. Because I would like to see my grandbabies. I just see my grandbabies' babies, if that's possible. And I don't know if it is, but I ain't trying to FAFO in a Walmart parking lot over a damn parking space neither one of us own. And I'm sure Bart DiGuglielmo may have family that loves him who are distraught right now. And to them I say, I'm sorry for your loss. And to them I also say, Bart brought this on himself. Ain't nobody chase him around the vehicles. He chased an armed person around vehicles in broad daylight in a Walmart parking lot over a parking space. You can't tell me Bart hasn't displayed poor judgment in the past. This guy's a ticking dumb time bomb. But I do got to say this to the few people that disagree with the actions of the sister whose name hasn't been released. You know, in this country, we tell women to carry, to protect themselves, to defend themselves. And then when one does that, you still got to complain? You got something to say? You can't let your eyes tell you what happened? You have to find a way to disagree? Now, in this case, it's pretty obvious who the aggressor was and who the defender was. The reality is this. If a man backs you up in a parking garage and he won't stop when you heed him, when you give him a warning and you show him you got a gun and he won't stop pursuing you, and this has gone on for 5 minutes, you're under no obligation at all to find out if he means business or if he means harm to you. You can go ahead and make an assumption, yeah, he does. This, my friends, is a prime, clear definition of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what this is. This textbook. In fact, if you looked up the definition of play stupid games, win stupid prizes, you should see a picture of Bart DiGuglielmo. Right there. Now, I'm not here applauding the loss of human life. No, not at all, man. I'm not here to make light of that. But I gotta say, this woman did not take this man's life. This man's ego took his life. His pride took his life. The gun was just a delivery system for that event. That bullet was just a messenger. His pride was the true killer. She did not ambush him. She did not chase him. She drew a line in the sand, and he crossed it. Case closed, face closed. Why can't they all be this easy to figure out? And to those people out there that's giving her the side eye, that are in comment sections right now complaining, hey, if you walk up on somebody with a gun and you keep walking up on them and you know they got a gun, when you get what you came there for, you have no room to complain. My name is Tim Black. Thank you for watching this video. Put in the comment section what you think happened here and how this works out. And oh yeah, happy 4th of July. Some people just don't have survival instincts. That's all.